I'm DaRon.
And I'm Roniel. We're gonna actually react to some of the comments that were on Reddit to something that somebody put. I believe that somebody had put something about cybersecurity on this Reddit post, and you actually commented. So we're gonna look at some and react to some of the comments that was on here. Some of them was really outlandish. Some of them was crazy. And the fact that they don't really know you. So
I went through and I just advised this person, don't do threat hunting, don't do incident response. They aren't real cybersecurity positions, and I stand by that. A lot of people will sit there and their feathers get all ruffled, but they're not cybersecurity positions because they're non-technical positions. Taking someone's computer and then handing it off to digital forensics, or taking their computer and imaging it before handing it off using one of the auto imagers, your hardware-based imaging, that's not technical. And neither is reading through logs. We've already discussed how threat hunters, it's a non-technical role, but a lot of people get real ruffled. Well, this guy got upset and he was like, oh, it's not a real cybersecurity position, huh? And I explained a little bit. I went there and actually gave the reasoning for it. I gave the history behind it. And he literally said that I must be trolling. And I told him I wasn't trolling, but you know, I guess you weren't serious in your question, because if he had been serious, he would have actually looked at what I said and then either argued against what I said, you know, offering an actual intelligible point, or something else. But instead he just, oh, you must be trolling. You must be trolling because you have a difference of opinion. You must be trolling. Now, this is where it gets fun, because this man who clearly did not know me asked if I actually worked in security and if I've actually read NIST Special Publication 800-61 on the functions of an incident responder. And that's when he was entering a world of hurt, because you all probably don't know this because I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast yet, but I'm an actual factual NIST author. I've actually written 6 different NIST special publications, and I have written and worked on multiple revisions within those 6. Plus, I've reviewed and commented on, as an insider, a number of other NIST special publications, and I've written other NIST documentation and works to include their voting machine guidelines, which mapped 53 and a few other things. And then I say we, I had to go through and create another mapping that went with that, and we handed it off to the different states, who of course didn't do anything with it because they're not legally required to, and they would rather their voting machines be insecure for a number of reasons we'll get into on a different episode. But I went through and I said, look, you're conflating analysts now, you're conflating a few different terms now, and I explained stuff, and then I went through and I said, you know, as for NIST Special Publication 800-61 Revision 2, you'll find there's no reference to the term threat hunter, which is what he had claimed. And I'm an actual factual NIST author, so you do better to back down from your bombast and ad hominems and actually stick to facts. And immediately, what did he do? The whole, sure, bud, because, you know, you can't admit that you're wrong. He didn't put forward a single argument during this whole conversation, a single coherent argument during this whole conversation. So I provided an actual link. I had my name on it, and I said, here you go. It was an actual link to a NIST special publication on NIST's website with my name on it. He didn't say a thing afterward. Have you even read NIST? And that comes up so often. Have you read NIST? Have you read NIST? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I read it too, and I didn't see anything about threat hunter in there.
It's not in there. You can do a word search. It's not in there.
And to be honest, threat hunter, like, I can't verbatim remember, but you know, what date did the NIST that revision 2 come out?
Wasn't that?
When was it published?
Wasn't that 2012?
Okay, I believe that it was older. So, threat hunter, I'm not saying it, and from my knowledge, we're going to go past I would say the threat hunting thing started coming up a little bit around the 2009, like 18, 19 era, because that's when that became a thing. So basically, for threat hunting to be a threat hunter to be named in 2012, which was not even a thing, not saying that people wasn't doing hunting for threats, but the term threat hunter kind of came out around the 2018, 19 era, and then so on. It was like a big thing that I remember when I told you when I was at IBM, we didn't really call ourselves threat hunters.
Yeah, it was a buzzword used for winning contracts.
Yeah, we're threat hunting, and that did become a thing after that. I remember after this big thing was like 2019, like around that 2018, 19, it was like threat hunter, this and that. And they started pulling up I think even when I left, they started having these organizations that were trying to get these different contracts, like you said, calling themselves threat hunters, and they were doing threat intelligence. That was not a really big thing then. So for him to say threat hunting is in 2012, revision, that wasn't even a term.
No.
So even then it would sound stupid, but I'm saying that this just debunks his theory.
And it also, the other component is, if you look in all the NIST documentation, you'll see a very common theme. We never use industry buzzwords. In fact, you're actually forbidden from using buzzwords. And threat hunter, threat analyst, those are buzzwords. And how do you know the difference? It's a marketing term, and its name is constantly changing. And its definition is very, very fuzzy, which is the case in this case. So threat hunter, threat analyst, those are buzzwords. You're never going to see something like that unless they get solidified and codified and the industry stops changing it. Instead, what you're going to see is something more like incident responder. You'll see that, but you won't see threat hunter. You'll see other terms, but you won't see something like threat hunter, not for a good long time. It's forbidden.
Incident response has been a thing for a while.
Exactly.
Incident handling, and that's originally what it's called, and then now it became incident response. And
they do talk about it as incident handling.
Right. So, that's what I know it of is incident handling, and then it became incident response. And I was already doing that as a security engineer. And I was like, we've been doing this for a while, so now we're calling it incident handling. Okay. Well, we're already doing that. So then, like I said, threat hunting, that wasn't a term. We just literally, we would call it going down the rabbit hole.
Right.
All right. So we were just, literally hunt for threats. We wasn't calling it threat hunter. And like I said, after that, like in that 2018, 2019, it just started becoming a thing. Everybody was trying to do threat intelligence. And again, it's a marketing scheme, but it's also to make blue teams sexier.
Yes.
There was a lot of people trying to get more people on the blue team side because everybody was going to the red team side.
Right.
And what better way to make blue team sexier? It went from incident response to threat hunting, or threat hunter to security researcher. Right. Now those same terms are being thrown around into something even bigger, and all you're doing is the same shit. Okay, so you got to understand the term. Even if you look at John Hammond's, one of his, what was it, the hacker, or don't call yourself a hacker, or something like that. Right. Whatever. He talks about, he named himself a security researcher, senior security researcher, at his job that he is currently, which tells me, again, it's a marketing thing. What do you be known as? And he does the same shit as a threat hunter, incident responder.
Right.
It's all promotion. It's all bullshit.
Right. And SOC, etc., that side of the house has been starved for people for a very long time because we call it a meat grinder. And we call it that because the attrition, that turnover rate is so ludicrous. And it's not people usually moving into other branches of security. In almost 99.9% of the cases, it's people leaving security completely, and oftentimes leaving IT completely, just like with help desk. Because just like with help desk, it's just not worth it, and there's no out. There is no easy on-ramp for you getting into the technical side of cybersecurity. It's like being a non-technical compliance auditor. The same exact thing. You know, you don't go from a non-technical compliance auditor to a technical auditor very frequently. It's very difficult, and not many people make that transition because you're pigeonholed.
I also want to say something that you can tell that he didn't know what he was talking about. For somebody that had been on the blue team side, threat hunter and incident response is not a senior level.
Yes.
At all.
Oh, I know. Yes, he said that. He said that, and I immediately was like, "Oh my God, you have no clue what you're talking about."
And you don't understand that, and even then, okay, just say for instance, threat hunter is its own thing. You're a threat hunter by day. You're an incident responder. You're two different things, right? There are levels to each one.
Right.
To each one, there are levels. So you're a 1, you're a 2, you're a 3, and it can go up to 5, 6, whatever. And that becomes whether you're a senior threat hunter.
Right.
If you're level 3, level 4, level 5, normally level 5, you might be a senior threat hunter, senior level. This is not a senior level position. And even as a security engineer, there were still different levels.
Right.
You know, you have your junior, your intermediate, your intermediate person, and you had your maybe more senior level person, and then you had your person above that. Like, you know, I when he said that was a senior level job, I was, no, it's not.
Yes.
That's your low level job. And like I said, even then there are different levels that makes the person a senior level threat hunter.
Yes.
And that's just by having experience, but that's still a low level job.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, there were so many red flags in what he wrote. I spent a long time going through and hitting what he said. I mean, and he just kept flippantly brushing it off, the same as the other gentleman. So anyway, the point in all of this is, number one, be very careful who you're arguing with online, because they may very well be an actual factual wrote the damn thing you are claiming to be using as your citation. So the other component is, if you're new to the field, just relax. Your job at that point for the first 5 years is to pay attention and listen, not to be online trying to tell people that they do or don't know what they're talking about, or trying to give advice to people online, because you don't know the industry yet. It takes at least 4 years, to really know the industry, because at that point you probably have at least been on some hiring boards. You've real serious hiring boards. You've gotten a big enough knowledge as to what all's going on, and you finally wrapped your arms around the problem. Until then, it's listen and pay attention mode. If you're on YouTube and Reddit and you're telling people how to get into security or what a threat hunter is, you don't have the experience to back it up, just tone it down. Tone it down. It's not hard to be polite.
Piggyback off of that. First thing you said, people need to understand. You're building connections even when you're on Reddit and all these other different social media platforms. By trolling other people, you never know when they're going to meet that person again, and they might be the person that you want to get hired by, and you just literally made yourself look like an ass.
Yeah. Do
you think DaRon is going to want to hire you, and especially if he already looked you up?
Yes.
You think he's going to want to hire you?
Yes.
And you may really want that job, and you may come across the time, or especially he's in DOD, he may come across you in some point of time, and you're like, no, don't hire that guy. He's an idiot.
Yes. Do not give that contract, because I know who they're going to put on it.
And you can show proof on how that guy's an idiot. That's something you don't want to do. Don't burn any bridges.
Yeah.
If you can avoid it, avoid it. Don't burn bridges. The second thing, you're here to learn. No matter how, even though I have a plethora of experience, I'm still trying to learn from people. If I know that this person understands the topic, then I'll, talk back. I'll have a conversation with them about it. But again, it's still in a polite way. It's not very aggressive, and it's still something I can learn out of that situation. But I'm not here to burn bridges. Never burn bridges. I don't give a shit how much you know. You don't You'll never know when you're going to meet this person or need somebody for a job.
It's a small community, and we do talk, and it's even smaller in the DoD, and we do talk. I don't know if you heard that one gentleman, a NASA gentleman, who some intern was on some social media, and she's like, I got into NASA, fuck yeah, or something like that, and he made a comment about her language, and she basically told him to go fuck himself. And so she was going to be an intern, I think it was. And so he happened to be either on the selection board or knew them, because he was high at NASA and got her dropped. People need to be very careful, very careful. I mean, I'm not going to go through and get anyone fired. I actually know his management very well. I'm not that kind of guy.
Yeah, be very careful on who you're arguing with. I just feel it's pointless to argue with people. Give your 2 cents. Ask questions, learn from each other. If this person seems like if he's saying it for a reason, see how much more he knows. Pick his brain. You know what I'm saying? Learn from it before you start even trying to have a heated conversation, and then you become to be the dumbass. Yeah. You don't want to look that way. And like I said, you never know when you're going to meet these people again, and you will. And he may be the hiring manager or somebody up above that pulled the strings. So don't burn any bridges. I learned that a long time ago. Doesn't matter how smart you is, just shut the fuck up and learn from everybody, build your knowledge, and become the best you can be. Yes. And that's it. That's all we really want from this channel. We're not really trying to pick on people. We're literally just telling you different stories or reactions, because people really don't like to learn from other people or hear the truth. You don't like the reality of things, but this is the reality. Yeah. Suck it up. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And to that point, before we end, I just want to remind everyone here, although I assume if you're here, you are a professional individual. By that, I mean, you know how to behave, you know how to carry yourself, and you understand that we're all people and we all make mistakes, everyone. Please don't flame anyone involved in either of these 2 conversations or the YouTube conversations. We purposely removed both my username and their usernames and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's not conducive. One of the things the internet obviously needs is people to tone it down and stop being know-it-alls. And our big thing in showing this, like we said, was just trying to educate you, the listener, and trying to remind the community in general how to behave and just how to not come off wrong.
Yeah. Don't be the asshole. Yeah. Okay. You know. So yeah, we don't agree with flaming anybody. Not big on flaming people at all. But you know, we just definitely wanted to show people, you know, what's going on in the industry, how people treat each other in the street. Yeah. Why would anybody want to be in cybersecurity if you have to deal with this, especially somebody who's trying to help other people? Yeah. You know, it's an experience. It's stuff that we went through.
Yes.
A lot of people haven't went through it.
Yes. And I'll tell you, my month of being on Reddit made me not want to be on Reddit, just having to deal with that constantly. And I know why I mean, it reminded me why I never went on it before.
Yeah. I am not really, like, I have to be on social media, but I don't really comment or just say anything on social media. I rarely say anything to people because that's what they do. Yeah. They're trolling, the keyboard warriors, and I'm not going to get into an argument with somebody when it doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's a waste of my time. Yeah. But again, with us trying to help people, when people were asking questions, even on our own channel, please do not come in and try to flame other people, make people feel like they're belittled or below. This has been our segment. I am Roniel.
I'm DaRon.
And if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content like that. And also, don't forget to get your Wawa. And also, don't forget to get some Under Armour if you want to look cool like DaRon. Other than that, until the next time,
have fun.
Have fun. Everybody, just because you're a black belt doesn't mean that you can't learn from somebody else.
Right.
Okay. Or you think you are a black belt doesn't mean you can't learn from somebody else. So people feel like when they get in cybersecurity, they become the black belts. I am now a cybersecurity person. I am this and that. but you can't listen to nobody else. Nobody else is more knowledgeable than you. And that is the problem. Everybody thinks they're smarter than the rest when they're not. And that's why we'll never get ahead. That's why we'll never get ahead. If you want to take all the energy you took on that, on this subject, on you, he could have been taking that energy to better himself, to better his career, and better whatever you're doing, man.
But here he is. He's automatically just going after me, saying, "Oh, well, you must not be in cybersecurity. Have you even read NIST?" And I'm like, "You're actually citing one of the special publications I wrote." So if you really want to get in this match, I can actually quote it. I can quote the entire thing, and I can even tell you what pages everything is on. And we had the same thing on YouTube. I commented on, and it was actually about someone asking how to enter the field and all this other stuff. I commented and I provided someone some data. But this person comes on, someone came on and they're like, "Oh, you must not be in cybersecurity because you can't even spell bachelor's." I had spelled baccalaureate, which is a harder word to spell. But I'm guessing they don't know what a baccalaureate is. A bachelor's, I don't know. But then someone else was like, "Oh, you can't be in cybersecurity. You must be a narcissist," and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I didn't say anything narcissistic. I was actually very polite, and she was just mad because she told someone who had no experience and wasn't in cybersecurity to go off and get the CISSP. And all I said was, this person can't get it, using their name. This person can't get it because you have to have 5 years of experience. And of those 5 years, you can count education as 1 year. So you could get away with 4 years if you have an appropriate education. So-and-so can't do it. So instead, she's up in arms calling me a narcissist and all this other stuff. And it's like, I can't help these people